On a brownfield site just outside Wigan in northern England, a watershed moment has occurred in the practice of civil engineering. Over a 12-month period, a new test site has been developed which will fundamentally change the way we find out about the infrastructure that lies beneath our feet.
We had a very clear idea of the layouts that we were seeking and the ground types that we were seeking. And what we really wanted was for someone from the practical side to come forward with their own ideas of what they would like to see in a training facility. And as it happened, the two matched perfectly. So what we undertook to do was to provide the designs and to supervise the works, to put pipelines in the ground, in some cases with a small amount of instrumentation. And what JK Guest committed to do was then to construct it to our specification, but also in a way that it could be used to maximise the impact of the research thereafter.
JK Guest are keen on making the utility mapping industry in this country as a standardised operation. As it is now, any man and his dog who buys the equipment can operate as a utility mapping company, and we just don't think that's right. If your gas fitter comes to your house, you expect him to have a qualification. If a plumber comes, you expect him to have a qualification. So how can we realistically say we need to map underground services, but you don't really need a qualification to do it? So in association with the University of Birmingham and Mapping the Underworld, we've developed this site.
It comes from that from two very different angles, really. One is it's a facility for the development of new equipment. So once we've got an area with known utilities that can't be seen, we can start really testing and making sure that the equipment we're developing is working to the very best. This facility will also allow us to train operatives in the use of that equipment.
There is a need not only in the UK but Europe for this training and test facility, and we started to develop this with MTU, with designers Arlosh that we brought on board. Chris Rogers helped us design the facility as far as they were concerned, and we've taken it forward from there.
This new initiative will attempt to replicate the sort of subterranean environments that civil engineers have to explore on a regular basis in order to install and maintain buried utilities.
Unlike a normal street, there'll be like the water people will come, the water board will come put their stuff in, put it where they want, then the gas, then the electric and BT, and it's just all sorts of old stuff crossing and underneath. So we're trying to create that sort of scenario, but 10 times worse.
Back in autumn 2011, the diggers began work on clearing the site, ready for installing the bays, which will hold the gas, water pipes, fibre optics, and all of the other materials that you would find beneath the ground that support our daily lives. The team at JK Guest and the University of Birmingham School of Civil Engineering has just over 6 months in which to complete the site, ready for an important visit by overseas specialists.
He wants this top half up to here, so they're done, so we can start getting people in, train them, and the rest of it,
I'll just keep going.
We'll just keep going and just keep doing bit by bit by bit.
The site is starting to take shape. The first 3 bays have been filled in with utilities and the initial surfaces put in place.
In this particular bays up here, the first one here you've got gravel, which we are going to fill with water so that we can test the GPR with different conditions, with water and without water. Behind me here you've got valves which will be connected to different types of pipes within the bay. So at the same time we can fill them with water again and then empty them to see what sort of reactions we have with different types of kit. The other bays with the clay, it's a lot more difficult to find stuff with clay with the GPR again, and again with the hardcore bay it's the same again. So you have the 3 different types with the gravel filled with water. These are just going to be as they are, clay and hardcore, so you'll find them a lot difficult to find different materials within them conditions within the ground.
We need to make sure that we're going to have the different kinds of surface that will be found just in the open environment. So we are going to have grass, we're going to have concrete, we're going to have tarmac, we're going to have paving. So all over this area there will be sections of that. There's a good chance that it'll either be done in strips or in checkerboard, because what we need to make sure is that once somebody's visited, we can actually move the street furniture over it so that it isn't exactly the same the next time they come back. We want to make it as hard for people to remember as possible. At the end of the day, what we're building isn't a memory test, it is actual. You have to be able to discover the utilities that are under here.
After much hard work and planning, the area is almost complete.
It's not been typical of normal utility installation because we've had to record the position and the level and the line of every utility at intervals of no more than sort of 500 millimetres, which is far over and above that any normal survey would record the level of the utility. So we've developed these as-built drawings, and we know the levels, the line, and also we've got the artificial water flooding of the top 3 bays, and also the pumped water to replicate real water mains, and we've got compressed air to replicate the gas mains as well. So the replication of the real-time stuff that becomes naturally has been quite a challenge, to be fair.
It's not like a normal construction project. Obviously, it's built up in layers, different services, pipework, cables, it's different ground conditions, so a normal construction project on a site of this size would probably take an 1/8 of the time. The main challenges have been when backfilling all the services going into place, making sure they don't move, accurately mapping this so that when we actually finish the project, we've got an accurate, within millimetres of where each service is, the different changes in ground conditions and obviously the different surfaces, but it's an accurate map, which obviously we've got to keep us, which is basically the holy grail of the centre, if you like.
Today is the real test, as the first team of international visitors arrived to take a close look at the site.
I'm quite impressed of the size of the site and the things that they put in to replicate the actual utility mapping in actual site.
A number of international researchers and practitioners have taken an interest in mapping the underworld. One of the biggest is the Malaysian Land Surveyors Association, who have wished then to engage with the project, and the way they've done that is they've sent a delegation each year, essentially to listen to the progress being made by the Mapping the Underworld team, and to engage with our project partners. And what it does from our point of view is it provides that degree of international exposure to our work, but also training that has derived from it.
To have an international delegation from the people of Malaysia to come over here and are trying to establish a good system in their own country, to want to come over here and look at what we're doing, see that as best practice, then it ties in exactly what we're trying to achieve. And the Association of the University of Birmingham as well helps push it all forward. The initial feedback from the delegates has been very, very positive. I don't think we've had a bad word said about anything we've done, and I think we can help each other push the industry along in both countries. I think the biggest need for this training facility is because we can train people out in the public highway, but we don't know, the trainer himself doesn't know 100% exactly what they're going to find. Where on here, we know what we should find. We know exactly how the signals and the services should react. And we know exactly whether the readings we're getting are right or wrong. On the public highway, we've got no way of proving that, because we can't start digging the public highway up for the purposes of a training course. But on here, it's our site, it's replicated, it's safe, and we know we can do it properly.
What we really want, I think, in this country is a focal point for the assessing of surveying technologies and the assessing of surveyors who use those technologies. By creating a single national centre where surveyors can learn their trades, practice, be taught and then be assessed, we have a chance of improving the standards across the board. And so again, we can bring from the university's perspective, there are 7 universities now that are collaborating with this programme of research, we can bring that perspective to improve standards and safety. And again, that's part of the impact that the funding from the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council will be making to the economy and the environment and society.